Om Shreem Om Aim Hreem Shreem gaṇapataye varavarada sarvajanam me vashamanaye swaha. Om Shreem Hreem Kleem Glaum gaṇapataye varavarada sarvajanam me vashamanaye swaha. Om Shreem Hreem Kleem Glaum gaṇapataye varavarada sarvajanam me vashamanaye swaha. Om Shreem Hreem Kleem Glaum gaṇapataye varavarada sarvajanam me vashamanaye swaha. Om Shreem Hreem Kleem Glaum gaṇapataye varavarada sarvajanam me vashamanaye swaha. Last week we saw the introduction, which is the Mangala Shloka, Shanti Mantra, the Shanti Mantra of the whole Atharvana Veda, where the Ganesha Atharvasheersham is also situated. It is situated in the Atharvana Veda, right? So we saw that, and today we will go into the first verse. There are 10 verses in all within the whole Ganapati Atharvasheersham. And the way it is, this is almost like a conversation. It is almost, not almost, it's actually as though this Ganaka Rishi, who has composed this whole Atharvasheersha, he's having a conversation, or he's communicating to Ganapati what you are. Right? Of course, it's not as though he is telling Ganapati what he is. It's actually he is realizing the fact that what Ganapati is, what Ganesha is, what this particular form, or this particular symbol symbolizes. So that association he is creating. And Adhanalana, if you see, you go through the whole narration, it will be like tvameva pratyakṣaṃ brahmāsi, tvameva tattvamasi, tvamevam nuvaro. You are, O Ganesha, you are this, you are that, you are that. So this is his realization. In fact, most of the Upanishads, in fact, even Bhagavad Gita, you will notice, the first portion will go on to narrate the Guru will teach the Shishya of the truth. And then the subsequent part, after the Shishya has understood the truth, he will then say, oh, now I understand. Oh, you are this. Oh, you are that. You are Sachidananda Brahma. You are the Chaitanya Atma. You are. So, idu madri narration varum appuram. Like if you notice in Bhagavad Gita, after the Vishwarupa Darshanam, Arjuna will tell Krishna, oh Krishna, now I understand, you are this, you are that, you are the greatest, you are the most wonderful, you are the creator of all, you are the sustainer, and so on and so forth. In the same way, there is another work called Ashtavakra Gita. Those who have heard of it, Ashtavakra Gita. It is a conversation between Ashtavakra Rishi, sage Ashtavakra, and Janaka. So there also, Ashtavakra is teaching him, and then at a point when Ashtavakra understands, he comes to the realization of the truth, that which is being taught, then he goes on to narrate it. He tells, oh, now I understand. Oh, this is what it is. Oh, this is what it is. So several, scriptural conversations on the truth is usually that way. So if you look at this, this is also in that way. In here, Ganaka Rishi is now, he's understood the reality of Brahman as Ganesha, as Ganapati. He has understood the reality of Brahman as Ganesha and Ganesha as Brahman. So he has understood this, the complete, the essence of both are one and the same. He's come to that understanding, and then he is declaring. He's making declarations here. So if you look at the whole Ganapati Atharvasheersha, it is like a declaration that Ganaka Rishi is making after having understood what Ganesha is, what this Tattvam Ganapati is. Okay. So we'll chant this a few times. and then we will try to understand the meaning. Srini, start pandriya. Om Namaste Gaṇapataye.
Gaṇapataye tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si tvameva kevalaṃ dhartā'si tvameva kevalaṃ hartā'si tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi tvaṃ sākṣādātmā'si nityam.
Very nice. Krishna, unmute paniko.
ॐ नमस्ते गणपतये त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं तत्त्वमसि त्वमेव केवलं कर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं धर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि त्वमेव सर्वं कल्विदं ब्रह्मासि त्वं साक्षादात्मासि नित्यम्.
Very good. Sundar Mama, solrela.
Om Namaste Gaṇapataye.
Tvameva. Cholunga.
Om Namaste Gaṇapataye. Tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi. Tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si. Tvameva kevalaṃ dhartā'si. Tvameva kevalaṃ hartā'si. Tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi. Tvam sākṣādātmā'si nityam.
Very nice. Sundar Mama Mami.
Om Namaste Gaṇapataye tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si tvameva kevalaṃ dhartā'si tvameva kevalaṃ hartā'si tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi tvam sākṣādātmā'si nityam.
Very nice.
Namaste Ganapataye tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si tvameva kevalaṃ dhartā'si tvameva kevalaṃ hartā'si tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi tvam sākṣādātmā'si nityam.
Super. Beautiful. Okay. So, Matava, we'll do the next verse. So, I'll just get into the meaning now. Om Namaste Gaṇapataye. Om Namaste Gaṇapataye. Tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi. So, if you go through each of this, it is actually, you can sit down, close your eyes, and like the chant that I play, right? It's by a Swami called Swami Purna Chaitanya Swami. Purna Chaitanya Saraswati or something. I don't recall his name, but that's what that Swami is doing this chant. The Swamiji is doing this chant. And if you sit and listen to it, these are not long verses. These are very, very short verses, but very dense in meaning, right? In terms of if you want to meditate upon each one of this, it is a very meditative hymn. Sorry. It's a very meditative hymn in that sense. So each one can explode its way. These are all Vedantic declarations. So how does he start? He starts saying, Om Namaste Gaṇapataye. O Ganesha, I prostrate unto thee. I prostrate to you. I surrender to you. Idukku munnadi what we saw was the Shanti mantra. Om Bhadrang Karane Bhishnayama Devaha. So we did that whole thing, right? Where we tried to understand, or rather we try to make ourselves able to receive auspiciousness, through all our sense organs. Karana, Shrotra, and through all our sense organs, may we, Shriyama Devaha. So, Pashyema. So, may we all receive auspiciousness through all our sense organs, and may we all be fit, healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, at all levels. May we feel that auspiciousness and prosperity. And then we go into this verse where we then immediately prostrate to Ganesha, because here the visualization is of this form of Ganesha that we are familiar with this elephant trunk and ears, and he's sitting with a stout body. This is the visualization of the form. You can either visualize as a form, or subsequently he will describe the Mula Mantra, the Gam Mantra, the Bijakshara of Ganapati. So we can either visualize him as form, or we can visualize this as the Bijakshara Gam, or we can visualize him as Om, because he is also Pranava Swarupa. He is also Pranava Swarupa, which means Omkara Swarupa. So we can also visualize him as Om. Whatever form we visualize, now we enter into gaṇapataye. So this particular entity that I'm referring to, I prostrate with what bhavana? That tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi, that you are pratyakṣaṃ. tattvamasi. Tattvamasi iti vakya. That vakya, tattvamasi, you are the pratyaksha swarupa. You are the pratyaksha swarupa. So tattvamasi அப்படின்னு ஒரு வார்த்தை சொன்னோம்னா, for example, you tell what is compassion, and then you look at Mother Teresa and then you say she is compassion personified அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம்ல. She's compassion personified, she's love personified. If you look at a very knowledgeable guru, you say that he is knowledge personified. Because these are abstract terms, these are abstract principles which is difficult for us to perceive in in form or object or thought. Excuse me. So it is difficult for us to perceive it in thought. You will notice it as a word, tattvamasi. Tattvamasi means what? You are that. Tat, that. Tvam, you are. This is a Mahavakya. This is a Mahavakya that appears in the Chandogya Upanishad. Where the guru is the father himself. He is telling his Shishya, the son, Shvetaketu, is saying that tattvamasi. Shvetaketu comes after 12 years of study, going to his Gurukulam, and he studied everything and comes back to his father. And then he is very proud. Na graduation mudichittaen, post graduation பண்ணிட்டேன், PhD பண்ணிட்டேன், எல்லாம் நான் கான்வகேஷன்ல முடிச்சிட்டு வீட்டுக்கு வந்துட்டேன், எனக்கு எல்லாமே தெரியும் அப்படின்னு. So he comes with a great pride to his father, saying, I know everything. And the father says, do you know that by which, do you know that knowing which everything else is known? That's the question he asks him. The son is confused suddenly. He says, idu solliye tharliye enakku appdin. Gurukulatha solli tharamaatappa appdin solli, then he starts explaining. So first he makes him identify his ignorance. Father makes him identify his ignorance. And only when you recognize your ignorance, that I don't know something, then there is a possibility of learning. ஏதோ ஒரு படத்துல அந்த பராட்டா பண்ண தெரியுமா? நான் பண்ண தெரியுமே. எப்படி பண்ணுவேன்? அந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டெப் அது மட்டும் சொல்ல. அங்கேருந்து எடுத்துக்கிறேன் அப்படிமா. அது மாவு மாவு தானே அது தெரியுமே. அடுத்தது என்னது சொல்லு அப்படின்னு. அடுத்தது மாவு எடுத்து கொஞ்சம் தண்ணி ஊத்தி அது எனக்கு தெரியுமே. அடுத்தது என்னது அப்படியும். ஒன்னொன்னு அவங்கிட்ட இருந்தே வாங்கிடுவோம். So அது மாதிரி to acknowledge that yes, I don't know. எனக்கு அது பண்ண தெரியாது. And then you learn. So then you open up a possibility. There is an opportunity that opens up for you to learn. Until we acknowledge that maybe I don't know. Maybe that then until we acknowledge that, knowledge will evade us. Evade means it will always keep playing around with us. So the Rishi makes his son first recognize his ignorance of what he's talking about. He's talking about, or makes him recognize that. And then when the son is suddenly he comes down, he's now feeling that he's achieved a lot of knowledge and understanding through the Gurukulam of 12 years. Suddenly comes down, and then he says, oh my God, this I didn't know. And when that happens, then the guru or the father is slowly releasing knowledge to him, and he's trying to explain. So it's a very beautiful process the way he explains it. And he comes to a point where he says, O Shvetaketu, tattvamasi, you are that truth, that satyam. You are that satyam, O Shvetaketu. So now the son is now, after he is listening to this, now then the son tells him, oh, Father, explain to me in more detail. And then the father goes on to explain the meaning of what tattvamasi is, right? So Chandogya Upanishad, one of the biggest, the central theme is this Mahavakya. It actually appears in the middle somewhere in chapter 6. So this is a very one of the most commonly known Mahavakya, and it's one of the most misunderstood also, because this principle that we are talking about, tat, the principle of tat, and asi means is. In fact, the whole Bhagavad Gita can be broken down into 3 parts. The first 6 shlokas is tat, the second 3 shlokas on tvaṃ, and the third shloka, the third 6 shlokas is on asi. The asi means the jiva brahma aikyam, where you describe jivatma is tvaṃ, paramatma is tat, and the asi essentially brings them together. The jiva brahma aikyam is asi, the term asi. So in tattvamasi, why did I say it is misunderstood? Is because the recognition of the principle as a separate entity outside is the mistake. In tattvamasi, the important thing is of asi. The importance is not so much of tat and tvam. That is there, this is there, but it's one. The same principle, that which is shining here, is that, and that which we see as the glorious universe or the creator or the sustainer or the destroyer, that principle is shining here. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandratarakam nema vidyuto bhati kutoyam agnihi tvameva bhantam anubhati sarvaṃ tasya bhasa sarvaṃ idam vibhati. It glows from here. So this recognition is the importance about tattvamasi. So what is the Rishi doing here? He is now telling, I understand tattvamasi, that I am, you, or we are that principle, the same essence, but that supreme being is now presented as this Ganesha in front of me. I experience this as that Ganesha, that Ganapati. Tvameva pratyakṣaṃ. Pratyakṣaṃ na, that which can be perceived. What I explained earlier cannot be perceived. It can only be experienced as an intuitive experience. Aparoksha anubhuti. There is a work by Adi Shankara. That is why I call it as aparoksha anubhuti. Paroksha anubhuti illa. Aparoksha anubhuti. Paroksha is that which you use the five sense organs to be able to perceive. Using your pancha pramanas. But this that you understand is not using the pancha pramanas. It is immediate, aparoksha. So that anubhuti is something that cannot be given form, shape, but the Rishi is saying, you are that, you are the personification, O Ganesha, O Ganapati. O Ganapati, you are the personification of this whole principle of tattvamasi. Pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi. So which means I can look at you and contemplate upon this Mahavakya. When you look at Buddha, what happens? I mean, none of us have seen Buddha. But the imageries of Buddha, typically what happens when you see an imagery of Buddha, it automatically guides your mind into meditation, correct? Usually, the kind of form of Buddha you will see is sitting and meditating. And when you think of Buddha also, typically, that's what one thinks of: meditation, contemplation, introspection, dhyanam. This is what comes to our mind. Here, what he's saying is, when I look at you, I am now reminded of the Mahavakya, because you personify the Mahavakya. Tvameva kevalaṃ, tvameva pratyakṣaṃ, tattvamasi. And tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si. So the next three verses are glorifying Ganesha or Ganapati as the Ishvara aspect. See, first he is Brahman, the uncreated, the unmanifest, the tattvam. Okay? This tattvam is always that we refer to as the unmanifested tattvam, which is the cosmic consciousness, the truth that is there always. Satyam. Then that truth or that principle now manifests itself as Ishvara. Ishvara means a principle which does these three functions. Panchakritya parayana. Lalita Sahasranama, it appears. எப்படி போகும்போது பிரம்ம கோப்திரி கோவிந்த ரூபிணி திரு யாருக்கா ஞாபகம் இருக்காது? திரோதானகரீஸ்வரி. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி
திரோதானகரீஸ்வரி பஞ்சகிருத்திய பாராயண மண்டலம்
இல்ல மாமா, before that சதாசிவானுகிரகதா. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி என்ன வரும்? பிரம்ம பிரம்மரூபிணி கோப்திரி கோவிந்த ரூபிணி கோப்திரி கோவிந்த ரூபிணி சரி பாருங்க, ஞாபகம் வந்து நான் சொல்லுங்க. So here the three aspects of the creator, the sustainer and the destroyer, those three aspects are presented here. So Ganesha, Ganapati is சொல்ல எது? முன்னாடி no before that, அதுக்கு முன்னாடி பிரம்மாணி பிரம்மஜனனி
Bahurupa.
I think it is tattvamika, tattvamayi, tattvamasa.
Hold on, guys. I'll tell you. Familiar with the later part, I'm just trying to recollect how the shloka starts. That particular verse starts.
In the verse,
I think Goptri Govinda Rupini Rudro
Goptri Govinda Rupini.
fulla solladu. Correct solladu.
सर्वावस्था विवर्जिता सृष्टिकर्त्री ब्रह्मरूपा गोत्री गोविंद रूपिणी संहारिणी रुद्ररूपा तिरोधानकरीश्वरी सदाग्रहदा
पंचकृत्य परायणा. Super. सृष्टिकर्त्री ब्रह्मरूपा गोत्री गोविंद रूपिणी संहारिणी रुद्ररूपा तिरोधानकरीश्वरी सदाशिवानुग्रहदा पंचकृत्य परायणा. Thank you. This is what I was looking for. So Srishtikartri Brahmarupa. Srishtikartri Brahmarupa. She is Brahma as Srishtikartri. Goptri Govinda Rupini as the sustainer. She is Govinda Rupini. Samharini Rudra Rupa as the destroyer. She is Rudra Rupa. Tirodhana Karishwari. There is the fourth principle of Tirodhanam that is presented here, which is Tirodhanam is to veil. Tirodhana Karishwari. And then the fifth one is Sadashiva Anugrahada. So as Sadashiva, she is offering Anugraha. She reveals Anugraha. Panchakritya Parayana. These are the 5 functions that are presented. These are the 5 functions that Devi in the form, in the manifest form, Parashakti in the manifest form, she plays these 5 functions. So the same thing here we're talking about 3 functions. So usually the 3 are the ones that we are familiar with, which is creation, sustenance, destruction. So the same thing here, if you see tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si, you are the one who create, you do. You are the one who create. Tvameva kevalaṃ dhartā'si, you are the one who are the dhara, who is the sustainer. Tvameva kevalaṃ hartā'si. Harta is to take away, to strip off, to remove. Tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si, tvameva kevalaṃ dhartā'si, tvameva kevalaṃ hartā'si. Creation, sustenance, destruction. You are the principle that offers all of these 3 as your principal functions. Okay, so first is tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi. So you are this tattvam, which is the unmanifest, and then you appear as the created world, and then he goes to say tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi. This is another Mahavakya. This also appears in the Chandogya Upanishad only. Tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi. Sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahma. This is a Mahavakya. Sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahma. Chandogya Upanishad la varudhu. So this is sarvaṃ khalu idam brahma. So the way I had to read it is sarvaṃ idam brahma khalu. Khalu na Sanskritla indeed. In Sanskritam, khalu means indeed. Appadidane appdin solradhukku. Appadi allayo, appadi illava. Or you refer to it as an assertion. You're trying to make an assertion. So sarvaṃ idam brahma khalu. So he's saying sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahma, which means everything here is Brahma. So first he's establishing that he is Brahma, who Ganesha is Brahma as pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi. So, O Ganapati, Namaste Gaṇapataye, I prostrate to you. And what I perceive there is this unmanifest Brahman, the Nirguna Brahman. Then you come down as the Ishvara or the pratyakṣaṃ Brahma, Nada Brahma, Rupa Brahma, the Brahman that comes in the form of sound and form, Nama Rupa Jagat, Nama Rupa Jagat. So this Jagat is Nama Rupa, sound and form. And in this Jagat, when you're coming down as the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer. Kartā'si, dhartā'si, hartā'si. So you are the one who governs the principle of creation, sustenance, and destruction, and creation, sustenance, and destruction, and creation, sustenance, and destruction. This keeps going on and on in your manifest form. In the unmanifest form, you are this tvaṃ, you are this Brahman. And then in this manifest form, where this creation, sustenance, destruction cycle is going on and on, you everywhere this Brahman is pervading, sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ Brahma. And you are that Brahman who is from this plane of unmanifest. You come down as manifest, and you are not. See, in the Christian theology, God made the world. Right? God created this world, and then God remained separate from the world. That's the Christian theology. So the Father in heaven remains in heaven. Right? Oh Father in heaven, may thy be glorified. You know that they have that prayer. Now the Father in heaven remains in heaven, and people or the jivas on earth remain on earth. And here you pray to the heavens. You pray to the Father in heaven. So there is a certain distance between the two individuals, and the Father, God, assumes a position of somebody who manages the creation, sustenance, and destruction, but he does it from a different position. He does not involve himself. But here, the concept is that this principle involves itself entirely. Sarvaṃ idam Brahma. So that Brahman, that is unmanifest, comes as the manifest, as the creator, sustainer, destroyer, and also continues to pervade all of this. Sarvaṃ idam Brahma. Sarvaṃ tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi. Tvaṃ sākṣādātmā'si nityam. See, look at this whole sequence in which the Rishi is approaching this tattvam. Now he's come down to tvaṃ sākṣādātmā'si. Tvaṃ sākṣādātmā'si. Where is Atma? Atma is a term in Vedanta, in the scriptures, referred to that principle which is operating within us as consciousness, the Jivatma. Typically, whenever there is a reference to Atma, it can be considered as Jivatma. So, look at this progression. Sarvaṃ, the first is prostrating down to this Ganapati, who is the all, cosmic Brahma, and he's saying that you are the Tattvam, and then you are the Karta, Dharta, Harta, and then you are the Brahma that is everywhere, and then you are also in me as my Atma. See the full progression, very beautiful. He's trying to bring that idea of Ganesha He is first glorifying that Ganesha or Ganapati as this primordial consciousness that is existing as Sat Chit Ananda, as Satyam Shivam Sundaram, or whatever we call that particular cosmic consciousness, whatever we name it, there's no name, because it is a principle that is ever existing, always there. And then he brings it down slowly and says the same Ganesha, Ganapati, you are that principle that is pulsating within me as my own consciousness. Tvaṃ sākṣādātmā'si sākṣādātmā'si nityam. Forever you are this witnessing consciousness. Sākṣāt Atma, witnessing consciousness. So which means you are the one, again this visualization, see this, he is the tattvam that is doing nothing, okay? One particular Swamiji in a talk, he says Brahman is useless. Adimbar. Brahman is useless, which means Brahman does not engage in transaction. The concept of Brahman is useless. It doesn't engage in transaction. Like electricity is in the air, it's useless. Only when it manifests itself in the wire and then you're able to harness it and it comes into light, bulb, fan, AC, fridge, then it is useful. Otherwise, it is useless. So in the same way, the tattvam is useless. It doesn't have anything to do with anything in the nirguna aspect. But when it manifests, it solidifies itself as a principle engaged in, through the help of Maya, engaged in creation, destruction, sustenance, this activity, the activity of Rajas, Tamas, Sattva. When it engages in activity through Prakriti, then so at that time there's no activity that does. When it starts involving his activity, it starts becoming this conscious entity that is perceiving, witnessing everything, and that principle flows down all the way into each and every jivatma, all the bhutas. Within us, if you notice, if there is sufficient attention paid, we will notice that there is something that is constantly watching everything. Which means that presence within us, we will recognize this presence when things on the outside constantly changing. Even my mind changes, even my intelligence changes, my activities change, my body changes. All of this changes. But there is something that knows of all of this change. There's something within me which knows that all of these things are changing. That is the witnessing consciousness within us. That is the sākṣādātmā'si. Sākṣādātmā'si means with eyes. This consciousness is with eyes, which means it is a perceiving consciousness. It's a consciousness that is not dead. It is conscious of the fact that it is there, it exists. It is conscious of its own existence. The term Satchitananda explains this. The Chit that we talk about, Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness that is aware of its own existence. So within us, when we just sit and when we are observing, when we observe changes happening, when we observe movement happening, when we observe thoughts flowing, when we observe our memories, and we just try to apply that all this is past within me. In me, the world is moving. In me, the thoughts are moving. In me, the past is there. In me, the present is right now. In me, the future is also getting created in forms of imagination, creative thoughts and ideas. The future is getting created. In me, all of this is happening. But where am I? I am right here sitting and observing it. Right? So, this particular, what this Rishi is doing is he's trying to bring this whole, he's demystifying this whole idea that there is a Brahman outside, there is a Ganesha sitting. So you can't visualize Ganapati, you're huge, evlo periya Ganapati yosika mudiyum namba. If this whole Brahman, this Brahmanda, this whole cosmos is a Ganesha appadina, how big are you going to visualize? And if you visualize that that Ganesha so big, you won't be able to see it. Maybe தொப்பையில ஒரு புள்ளி எங்கயாவது அவருக்கு மச்சம் இருந்ததுன்னா அந்த மச்சம் தெரியும் நமக்கு. It will be so huge, right? So how do you visualize this Ganesha? See, Vishwarupa Darshanam that Krishna had, well, like once I explained, how do you experience something so huge? Is you experience it as appearing as everything. When you see that principle appearing as everything, then that is Vishwarupa Darshanam. Then Krishna is seen everywhere. He's seeing Krishna. People in the battlefield are Krishna. There is a dog that's running somewhere, it's Krishna. There are birds flying, that is Krishna. There is the mountain, there is Krishna. When he sees everything around him as Krishna, that is the Vishwarupa Darshanam of Krishna. To show us pictorially, they are showing one human being standing very big and then Arjuna standing small like this. That is not how his experience will be, right? How big is big? How big is big? If this person is so huge, if you become so huge, you will still find spaces where he is not. You understand what I'm saying? If you find a huge two legs like this and you see a huge body, and then you turn around, if the body is standing in front of you, turn around, he is not there, no? So when you objectify it that way, it's difficult. How do you position this? Then you will see some other, we turn around, you will see, oh, this place is empty. So maybe he is not here. It's not like that.
ஆதிசங்கரோட ஓப்பனிங்ல பாரு, இல்லாத பாதத்துக்கு எத்தூண்டா நிக்கிறா.
ஆமா.
பாதமே அவ தலைக்கு மேல வருது.
The new Adi Shankar.
உனக்கு பாதத்தையும் காணாது, உருவத்தையும் காணாது.
ஆமா. But so the point is that is not the way we perceive it, right? The way we perceive it as something that is present everywhere.
Sorry, just trying to understand whether I understand right or not. நம்ம Brahman sarvagataha சொல்றோம். It's all pervading. Yeah.
கொஞ்சம் சத்தமா சொல்றல மாமா?
கேக்கலையா? ஒரு செகண்ட்.
Recording in progress.
கேக்குதா?
எக்கோ ஆச்சு.
கேக்குதா?
சொல்லுங்க.
அது Brahman sarvagataha சொல்றோம். All pervading. So which I understand as இப்போ நான் இருக்கேன், Brahman எனக்குள்ளே இருக்க, அந்த consciousness is within me and the consciousness is also present outside me. It's everywhere. And if a person is not alive, there's another person sitting next to me is not alive. It doesn't mean the consciousness is not present in that body, that physical body. But only thing is that, as you said, the consciousness within that body is not aware that there is a consciousness. Is that what I understand?
So you're asking what happens after death, essentially. What happens to this consciousness?
Okay, after death is fine, but I'm talking from the point of view of the Brahman. So Brahman is still there in that body, everywhere. It is pervading all pervading.
Correct.
But when I am trying to see from the different angle where Brahman is pervading, and that body, even though there is consciousness there, that body is not able to, that body, now I'm looking from the point of body, that body is not able to realize that there is consciousness. And the
So
realization and the consciousness இல்லைங்கிறதுனால அந்த இடத்துல consciousness இல்லைன்னு சொல்ல முடியாது இல்லையா?
Correct. So you're saying, so dead body than you're talking about where the Atma has left, or what we call as Atma, or this conscious element has left the body.
Correct.
Right. So what happens there is, in terms of there's a beautiful example that's given, right? Ipo kall irukku. Is there consciousness in a rock? The answer is
ஒரே ஒரு செகண்ட் சொல்லட்டுமா? ஒரு இதுல வேதாந்த ஸ்டடியில ஒரு ஸ்பீச்ல சொன்னார், ஈவன் இந்த ஜடப்பொருள்ல கூட எல்லாம் இருக்கு அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி. வாட் எவர் த திங்ஸ் மேட் பை த ஹியூமன், அதுல கூட எல்லாமே இருக்கு. ஹவு கேன் யூ சே இட் இஸ் நாட் தேர்? that will be applicable to this also, because there is no life in that body. Correct. But it is a jadapurul, இல்லையா?
ஆமா, correct. It's the same idea. So correct, ma. So anything that is living or non-living, chara, that lives or does not live, animate or inanimate, consciousness exists. The only thing is that does that object have the ability to reflect consciousness? Difference between me and a dog and a rock. Okay, so me, a dog, a plant, and a rock. 4 things are there. The rock has consciousness, but it's not able to reflect consciousness. Because the ability to reflect consciousness, the degree of the ability to reflect consciousness is extremely low. The plant has some degree to be able to reflect consciousness. The animal has a little more, and the human being has much more. So the moment when this becomes like a rock, so what is actually leaving is not consciousness. What is leaving is the sukshma and the karana sharira. The sukshma sharira and the karana sharira that identifies this as an individual is what is leaving outside. And so this continues to remain, which is why even after death, the nail grows, the hair grows, and all those things happen onto the body, right? Because there is some life force existing in the body. There is life force existing in the body. And to some extent, this life force will continue to exhibit and reflect. And when it completely decays or completely becomes, it loses that ability to reflect, it will just become like a rock or man, earth. It will become earth.
புரிஞ்சுது. அதான் அப்போ அந்த சூக்ஷ்ம சரீரம், அந்த காரண சரீரம் is what is actually reflecting the consciousness.
Correct.
And or probably gives you the ability to reflect.
To reflect consciousness.
Once that leaves, then so the consciousness is still there, but only thing they're not able to reflect it.
Correct.
Thanks, Guru.
So you're not able to reflect it. So that is the difference between these. And see, which you see from the point of Brahman, it doesn't care. It doesn't care. It is like
ordinary cell phone without SIM card.
Correct. Cell phone without a SIM card. So that way, the ability to reciprocate is not there in that particular entity. Now, there's a beautiful example usually given of buckets of water kept. So if you keep a bucket of water that can reflect the sun's light, there is another bucket which is turbid water, turbid aluka, the water is dense and turbid. It will not be able to reflect as much. Now, is the sunlight there? Yes. Is sun there? Yes. Is water there? Yes. Is the holder bucket there? Yes. But what's happening? The ability to reflect is becoming different in each case. So that is how that is kind of understood in terms of what happens between each of this. So, so now what Ganaka Rishi is doing is bringing us all the way from the highest plane of Brahman, bringing him down slowly into the world of creation, manifestation, and then bringing him everywhere in this creation and bringing the same Ganapati Tattva into us as the Atma, which is Sakshat, which means that is the Sakshi Atma, which in me is the same Ganesha. So we'll what we'll do is we'll close by few of us chanting the others who remain. We'll just get them to chant the remaining and we'll close today. Raghu, நீ chant பண்ணியாமா?
Yeah, I'll chant. Share பண்றீங்களா?
Share பண்ணிருக்கேனே.
Om Namaste Gaṇapataye. Namaste Gaṇapataye. Tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi. Tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si. Tvameva kevalaṃ dhartā'si. Tvameva kevalaṃ hartā'si. Tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi. Tvaṃ sākṣādātmā'si nityam.
Beautiful. Priya, you want to chant once?
Om namaste gaṇapataye. Tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi. Tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si. Tvameva kevalaṃ dhartā'si. Tvameva kevalaṃ hartā'si. Tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi. Tvaṃ sākṣādātmā'si nityam.
Beautiful. Gayatri?
Om namaste gaṇapataye. Tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi. Tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si. Tvameva kevalaṃ dhartā'si. Tvameva kevalaṃ hartā'si. Tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi. Tvaṃ sākṣādātmā'si nityam.
Very nice. Anybody else pending? Allan chant pantuma?
I have to chant.
Shri Vidya ji, pannuma.
Om Namaste Gaṇapataye. Tvameva pratyakṣaṃ tattvamasi. Tvameva kevalaṃ kartā'si. Tvameva kevalaṃ dhartā'si. Tvameva kevalaṃ hartā'si. Tvameva sarvaṃ khalvidaṃ brahmāsi. Tvaṃ sākṣādātmā'si nityam.
Very nice. Sherry, close pannalama. Gayatri, you've raised your hand, ma?
எனக்கு ஒரு doubt இருக்கு. If it is not taking everybody's time, can I ask it now?
சொல்லுங்க.
இப்போ நம்ம இப்போ இந்த ஸ்லோகம்லாம் படிக்கும்போது we are learning that God is everywhere. எல்லா இடத்துலயும் நீதான் இருக்க, எல்லா பிரம்மமும் நீதான், எல்லாம் okay. But the more we learn into it, I feel like I'm facing a situation where I want to drop everything, or it is இதை படிக்கிறதே மீனிங் இல்லை அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு ஃபோர்ஸ் சிச்சுவேஷனுக்குள்ள ஐ எம் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்சிங் சச் சிச்சுவேஷன்ஸ் that make me feel that is it really true, because I have never questioned these, but the more we start learning and the more we go into the journey, it's been like nearly a month. We are continuously facing situation that is forcing me, no, is it really true, and why is this happening, which has not happened before. இதை கத்துக்க ஆரம்பிச்ச உடனே ஏன் இதை ஃபேஸ் பண்றோங்கிற மாதிரியான ஒரு
You are on the right path and progressing.
No, it's like I don't want to progressing this, is it harming me சொல்ற அளவுக்கு கூட இது தெரிஞ்சுக்காம இருந்தப்ப கூட நல்லா இருந்தோம் போல இருக்கு. இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் படிக்க படிக்க இது என்னடா இது சேலஞ்சிங்கா இருக்கு இன்னும்.
அது ஒண்ணு வந்து எங்க அப்பா சொல்லுவாரு, எதுவுமே கலங்கினாதான் தெளிவுன்னு. ஸோ கலங்கிறது நல்லது, ஆனா நீங்க பர்சிஸ்டண்டா இருக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். இன்னும் நம்ம பர்சிஸ்டண்டா குருஜியோட இன்னும் டிராவல் இப்பதான் ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கோம். இந்த டிராவல் போக போக தெளிஞ்சு எல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சிடும். முதல்ல கலங்கும், நிறைய கலங்கும். அது குருஜி சொல்ற மாதிரி நம்ம படிக்க படிக்க தெரியும்.
See, Gayatri,
Sorry, laugh பண்றதுக்கு மன்னிச்சுக்குங்க, பட்
ஐயோ இல்ல இல்ல இல்ல, this is
really
what ஆமா, and we all go through this. See, you are not unique. See, we are always unique in our blessings and common in our problems. இத ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கணும். Okay, நமக்கு we are common in our sufferings, unique in our blessings. எனக்கு blessing எனக்கு மட்டும் தான் கடவுள் கொடுக்கறாருன்னு நம்ம நினைச்சோம்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, you will feel really good. ப்ராப்ளமா எல்லாருக்கும் இருக்கு, அதே பிரச்சனை தானே. நம்ம ரிவர்ஸா பண்ணிடுறோம். நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம், எல்லாருக்கும் இருக்கிறதா கடவுள் எனக்கும் பண்றாரு, எனக்கு கஷ்டம் வந்தா மட்டும் நான் யூனிக் ஆயிடுறேன். Right? I become unique in my suffering. So first thing that will help. நான் எதுக்கு அதை சொன்னேன்னா, if you think that I am common with everybody in my suffering, then it will immediately lighten the load. Everybody is suffering in one way or the other because of whatever reasons, many reasons, right? But the question is, why does it occur at this time? So you're looking at a coincidence here. Okay, you're looking at a coincidence. Now coincidence வந்து இப்போ இந்த இது மாதிரி தான். தெனாலிராமன் வந்து பூனைக்கு பால் வச்சு சூடா பால் வச்சதுனால நாக்கு சுட்டு போய் பாலே சாப்பிடுறது நிறுத்திடுது. You know the story, right? The king tells, how can you make a cat not drink milk? So தெனாலிராமன் என்ன பண்ணுவான்னா, ஒவ்வொரு தரமும் அந்த மணி அடிப்பான், சுட பால் வைப்பான். So the cat will come, பாலுக்கு நாக்கு வைக்கும், சுற்றும், ஓடி போயிடும். அடுத்த நாள் அதே பண்ணுவான். So every time that paal, it sees, the impression it creates, I see the milk and I put my tongue, it is hot and I'm hurt. So he does this for a period of time. Puna paal kudikira puna dana, I mean, cat drinks milk. That's natural. That is the dharma of the cat. But he's made it such that he's tuned the mind of the cat that when he looks at the white thing, the cat thinks of the burnt tongue. And it's not able to, அதுக்கப்புறம் அது பால் கொடுக்கறது நிறுத்திடுது. ஸோ கிங் கிட்ட போய் சொல்றான், பத்தியா ஒரு பூனையை நான் பால் கொடுக்கறது நிறுத்தி வச்சிட்டேன். I made a cat stop drinking milk. What happens is, these are associations that we make. Now the next time, if it's a cold milk also, the cat will not drink. Why? The problem is, it's made this association. Now, what is that? Who did this association? Somebody did this association for the cat, and then cat formed this in its head. It doesn't mean that every time the milk is coming is going to be hot. The next time it could be cold. Maybe the next time it could be cold. We don't give that opportunity enough. So what happens is, we create these associations of my suffering with certain coincidences in my life, and then we question those things that happen. Because we don't want suffering. So we question the things. Oh, இப்ப நான் இது பண்ணதுனால தான் இது நடந்ததோ அப்படின்னு. அது ஒண்ணு. It's natural to create associations of this kind. One thing I'll tell you, in spiritual studies, all you will gather is only well-being and benefit, whether it's short term, medium term, or long term. Term is not determined. Nobody can determine what the term of the benefit is going to be. The term may not be short term, may not be even medium term, but you'll certainly have long-term benefits. சின்ன வயசுலயே நமக்கு வந்து we have that culture. அதனால தானே குழந்தைகளுக்கெல்லாம் ஸ்லோகம்லாம் சொல்லி தரோம் சின்ன வயசுல இருந்து. ஏன்னா ஒரு ஏஜ் ஆனப்புறம் இப்போ தெரியாது. இப்ப நமக்கு நான் 30-40ல கூட தெரியாது, பாசிபிளி 50ல தெரியலாம், பாசிபிளி 70ல தெரியலாம். There might be a point when some of these things will start making sense. But there are enough evidences in the world, enough evidences to show that the scripture, this that we are studying, all of this has given nothing but benefit to people. Gayatri mantram eduthuko, Trayambakam eduthuko, idu venalum take any of these works that have been come through rishis and through Veda Vaka, that has come through Veda Vaka. It's Veda Vakana, Vedam, the Vakya that's come through the Vedas and the rishis and your guru and your teachers and whoever. Believe that this will definitely give me only well-being. Even if you think there is suffering that is coming up, it is for your well-being. Mama சொன்ன மாதிரி இந்த கசடு எடுக்கணும்ல, there are a lot of kasadu sitting within us. Ganapati is mooladhara sthitosi nityam. He is always there in the mooladhara. Mooladhara is the root of all your problems. I told you last time also, Ganesha is Vighna Karta and Vighna Harta. So we should be able to let him கலக்கட்டும், பரவாயில்ல, நீ எப்படி நான் நம்ம அவட்ட சேலஞ்சோட போனோம், நீ கலக்கறியா நீ கலக்கு, நான் என் சைட்ல நான் கலக்குவேன் அப்படின்னு, நான் விட மாட்டேன் உன்னை அப்படின்னு இருக்கணும். No, honestly, these things have worked. There are enough evidences and people to second these ideas, to say that that's the only way. You hold on with perseverance. It may seem like இப்போ நான் கணபதி அத்தர்வசீர்ஷம் படிச்சதுனால நாளைக்கு எனக்கு குழந்தைக்கு உடம்பு சரியில்லை அப்படின்னா, maybe it is getting something out. Maybe அந்த குழந்தை வேற எங்கேயோ போயிருக்கச்சு உடம்பு படுத்தி இருந்துட்டு அதுக்கு நான் அட்டென்ட் பண்ண முடியாம இருக்கலாம். It is happening right here, right now. Even in our sufferings, we see that grace is there because the suffering is happening in a way I can manage it. You will never be given any difficulty that you cannot manage. Believe that. Right? So hold on to it, persevere, and something will work out. Number one, when we tend to give it halfway, we wouldn't have tried it also. If you try it, one example, take one example and try it and go through it with perseverance. Say that, no, I will not give up. I will keep doing this. At the end of it, something beautiful will turn out.
ஒரு நாம் ஆரம்பிக்கும் போது நமக்கு இந்த லைஃப் வரதில்லை, ஏதோ ஒரு உபச்சாரத்துக்காக சொல்லிட்டு போற மாதிரி சொல்லிட்டு போறோம். அப்ப சொல்லிட்டு போகும்போது நறுவழியில எதனா ப்ராப்ளங்கள் வந்தது, வீட்டுல வேலைகள் வந்தது, கடமைகள் வந்ததுன்னா we tend to leave it. அது மனசுல லைக்கிற வரைக்கும் போயிட்டே இருந்தா லைஃப் வர ஆரம்பிச்சுடுனாக்க நீ சொல்ற அந்த பாசிட்டிவ் வைப்ரேஷன்ஸ் கிடைக்கும். மனசுல இந்த லைஃப் வரணும். அது வர வரைக்கும் சொல்ற மாதிரி நம்ம அதை போட்டுருமா, இதனால வந்து வேண்டாம், நமக்கு இதனால டிஸ்டர்பன்ஸா இருக்கு, யாரு சொல்லிட்டு உட்காந்துருப்பா அப்படி எல்லாம் தோன்றது மனசுல. பட் அது மனசுக்கு அந்த லைஃப் தன்னறியாம வர வரைக்கும் அது பர்சிவியரன்ஸ் வச்சுட்டு இருந்தாக்க அது லைஃப் வரும். That is what I understand.
Correct. Even now, today, even if you don't, if suppose your husband is bothering you, do you leave him and go? No. பொறுத்துக்கிறல்ல. பசங்க பிரச்சனை பண்ணாலும் ஓடி போயிடுறோமா, போங்கடா அப்படின்னு, தாங்க முடியல உங்க பிரச்சனை அப்படின்னு பொறுத்துக்கிறோம். So I am saying பொறுத்துக்கோ இதை. If you think, if you picked up Ganapati Atharvasheersham, you've picked up something, I don't know what you've picked up, you picked up something, பொறுத்துக்கோ, tolerate with it, work with it, with the faith that yes, at some point, we work with our family people with the faith, sometime அவ உருப்படுவா திருந்துவா அப்படின்னு நம்ம யோசிக்கணும்ல.
இதுலயே தத்துவபோதத்துல one of the points சொல்றது திதிக்ஷா,
forbearance. Correct, forbearance, திதிக்ஷா, extremely important. So don't worry, we are all there together. சரியா? ஓம் காயேன வாசா மனசேந்திரியேர்வா புத்தியாத்மனா வா பிரகிருதே சுபாவாத் கரோமி யத்யத் சகலம் பரஸ்மை நாராயணாயேதி சமர்ப்பயாமி, சதாசிவாயேதி சமர்ப்பயாமி, ஜெகதம்பிகாயேதி சமர்ப்பயாமி, சத்குருநாதாயேதி சமர்ப்பயாமி. ஹரி ஓம் தத்சத் குருப்யோ நமः. Deva.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.